Hello everyone, welcome to my week 8 of my 12 weeks of Christmas series. I'm so excited to share with you today. This is what we're making today, you guys. This is a big treat, and this is an adult only treat. It is a little bit of a boozy treat, so you need to make sure this is something you're giving to adults only. I will go over a few alternatives. Hang on, let me just pull up my video next to me so I can see it. I will go over a few alternatives if you don't want to use the alcohol. If you're giving this to kids or something, I will go over a few alternatives. So I'm gonna hold it on my side, like on the side like this, so we can try to get it all in. But there is a little pocket back here. This is going to contain a little packet of hot chocolate, and then you have the little bottle of Bailey's, and I'll talk about that in just a second. So this is kind of a big treat that you're gonna make for somebody, and because of the alcohol, it's going to be a little bit more of an expensive treat. So probably not one that you're going to want to make a ton of, but maybe one that you're going to want to make for, you know, your best friend or somebody at work that you hang out with a lot, that you talk to a lot. Now I do have this little loop up here. Now this is really more, it's definitely, you can't hang it. It's kind of heavy because of the alcohol. But we'll talk about some alternates, again, like I said, with the alcohol, that you might be able to hang it with. But the loop up here is really more to like add, you know, a tag or whatever you want, a little card or something, whatever you want to it. So I added just a little bow, but you can add whatever you want. And if you don't want the little circle at the top, you can definitely leave that off completely. So this is what we're going to make today. We're going to use the Snowy Wonder bundle. So we've used this one before. I've used this one a ton. So this is in our mini catalog. It is so fun. I've used this one a ton. So make sure that you stock up on this one before the end of December if you want it. And then for a lot of our circle elements, we're using the Stylish Shape Size. This is just a fantastic die set to have. This is in the annual catalog. You can find both of those products in my online store. The DSP is from the Snowy Scenes DSP, and that's the DSP that coordinates with that Snowy Wonder bundle. Okay, so let's talk about the Bailey's for a second. So I found this little 3-pack in my local grocery store. So if you're in Albuquerque, I found it at Albertsons. It was on sale for only like 11 bucks. And so it comes with 3 of these little mini 100 milliliter Bailey's. So super fun. So I thought, I saw those and I was like, well, that's a fun treat. Let's do that. So I'm pairing it up with some hot chocolate. There's a little pocket back here. If you missed that in the beginning, there's a little pocket back here that has hot chocolate packet in it. If you wanted to substitute the hot chocolate and put in maybe like some packets of like instant coffee, those Starbucks Via packages, you can probably fit 2 of those in here instead of the chocolate. So really your call. Now, if you want to make this treat box for kids, I would say I would substitute, I would maybe fill like a little cellophane bag and substitute the Bailey's for like a little package of marshmallows or something, and just fill that up with marshmallows. So there are some options for, I want to read your comments. There are some options for making this for kids. Maybe just, you could even leave off this front part completely, and I'll show you how to do that if you just wanted to do a hot chocolate. Now, if you're holding marshmallows in it, it's obviously going to be a lot lighter, so you might even be able to hang this on a doorknob or something. So keep that in mind. But today we're going to do a little boozy treat. So we're going to use the little mini Bailey's, and we're going to use a little hot chocolate packet. So let's start with our box. The box construction is actually 3 different pieces of cardstock. So we're actually going to start with the hot chocolate piece in the back, okay? So let me grab that piece. This piece is 8.5 by 9.5, and I'm using early espresso because I thought that went really well with the Bailey's. So I'm using early espresso cardstock. All the measurements are going to be in the video description, so you don't have to worry about writing any of them down, and they'll all be on my blog later with with pictures of the projects. So you can always refer back to that. Okay, so 8.5 by 9.5. So this is going to be nearly a full sheet of cardstock. Again, this is one that you're not going to make for a ton of people, but for the special people that you do make it for, they're going to be really grateful. So on the 8.5 inch side, you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, at 1 inch, at 4.5, and at 5. Okay, and then you're going to rotate it to the 9.5 inch side, and you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, at 1, and at 6, and then again at 9. Okay, so again, all those measurements in the video description. Please don't worry about writing any of these down, and it's going to kind of look like a weird shape. You're going to go, well, that doesn't look right at all. And I promise it does. And I actually like pre-scored this to make sure that I had the right measurements going. But all right, we're going to burnish on all of the score lines. So grab your bone folder and fold and burnish on all the score lines before we get to some trimming. Okay, so I know this is going to look like a really weird shape. It's not going to look like a box at all because of the way it's scored, but it's crucial to the construction of this. Now, if you're just making the hot chocolate portion, you will need to kind of trim this a little bit and modify the measurements just a little bit. But this is going to be the base of our box. So the hot chocolate piece, the back of it goes all the way down and then goes up this way. So that's kind of what we're aiming for. So let's do some trimming. So this is going to be, so when you're holding it, this is the 8.5 inch side, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah, this is the 8.5 inch side. You have two score lines over here. You have a 1/2 inch, and then you have another 1/2 inch one. So this is actually going to be the back of our treat box. So we are going to save this bottom section down here. So this bottom section only has one score line, and then it has a 1/2 inch little lip here. So you have the 1/2 inch section, and then you have one score line, and then you have the two score lines on the top and the two score lines on the left. This bottom section we are going to save. The rest of this we're going to cut off. So actually I'm going to grab some bigger scissors for this. You could stick this in your paper trimmer too, but I'm just going to use my big scissors just for time's sake. So we're going to save this square or this rectangle and that 1/2 inch border, and then we're just going to cut the rest of this off. This is a pretty big area, so save this for die cutting. You can even save this piece for stamping later, because we're going to, I heat embossed some of the snowflakes on the early espresso in white, so you can save this piece and stamp your snowflakes on this piece, and then you're not wasting too much cardstock. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. Now on this side, I'm going to rotate it upside down, and we are going to cut out kind of like an L shape here. So this is going to be our tab for our hot chocolate box right here, and then we have two little side tabs right here. So we are cutting out an L, so I'm going to cut up to the first score line here, and then I'm going to cut out those two little 1/2 inch rectangles, and then I'm going to cut this rectangle off, or this square off too. So we have that 1/2 inch tab here, and we have a little tab up here that we need to kind of cut free. So I'm going to cut that, and then I'm just going to cut this at a tiny little angle, this little tab. That's going to fold into the top of our box, and I guarantee you nobody's going to care if those little tabs are not perfect, so don't worry about that. So we have that. So we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to make a little tab. So I'm going to cut down this score line, and I'm going to cut down this score line. And then we're going to cut these two rectangles off. I'm going to grab my big scissors again. So just cut along that score line and cut these rectangles off. And then we're just going to make that little tab again. Just like that. And just cut that at a little angle. Just like that. Okay, so let me see if I can fit all this into the camera shot. So this is what it's going to look like. So you have your little tabs. This is your little flap that's going to fold in. This 1/2 inch piece over here is your glue tab, and actually we're going to cut that at a little bit of an angle too. Just cut that little 1/2 inch tab at a little bit of an angle. That's going to help our box go together. And then this is your back. You have a score line here, and then your 1/2 inch score line here. Okay, so let me see, can it fit this way? I don't know. All right, that's what it should look like. Let me clear up some of my trash, and then we'll start assembling this piece. Okay. I meant to empty my trash can before this video, and I completely forgot, and now I'm realizing it's not empty at all. Okay, I'm going to assemble this with my liquid glue, because this is what I find to be the strongest glue for boxes. And right now, oh, you know, before we do that, let's round our corners of our tab here, of our little box here. So I just have corner rounder punch. Stampin' Up! Doesn't currently sell a corner rounder punch, so whatever corner rounder punch you have in your stash, use that. All right, and so that's it. We just want to make sure we round those corners before we adhere it. So I'm going to use liquid glue. The only place we're putting glue right now is just on this little 1/2-inch tab here. So just add glue. A little bit goes a long way, so don't get too generous with this liquid glue. And then you should just be able to fold this so it lays flat. And I like to flip it both ways before that glue sets. Just make sure that it lays flat both ways, and then you know it's a nice square box. All right, so your box is gonna open this way, so we're gonna stick the little tab in, and it's going to go like this, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so this is your first part. This is box 1. Now, if you're only doing the hot chocolate portion of this, you'll just have to do, just modify the measurements a little bit, and then just adhere the bottom closed, okay? All right, so we're gonna set this piece aside. We'll come back to it later. Let's work on, well, where am I going to put that? That's in the way. I'll put it up here. Okay, now let's work on, close this back up. There we go. Let's work on the little holder here for our little Boozy piece. Okay, this is going to be 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. We're going to get our Simply Scored out again. Now you can do all the scoring for these pieces all at once. I'm going to do these one at a time so that we don't get confused on which piece is what. We are only going to score it on the 4 3/4 inch side, and I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch and at 3 inches. Okay, so that is it for the scoring on this one. So let's burnish those score lines. Right. So this is what you're left with. Now this piece is going to be adhered onto this piece like this. So this little tab is going to go to the long side of this one. So we're going to adhere it like this, and then this short tab will adhere to the back like that. And that's going to make our little tray for our little Baileys to sit in. Okay. So before we do that, we need to adhere a little bit of DSP to the top of this because we need to make a hole for the Baileys to sit in. So I have a piece of DSP, and this one is, let me give you the right measurements, 3 1/4. This is 3 1/4 by 2 1/4. And again, all the measurements are in the video description. We're going to adhere this one down. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus for this. Look at that cute little snow globe that worked. So cute, right? This DSP is adorable. All right, so we're going to glue that down to the center of the center panel. Just like that. There is another piece of DSP that goes here. I'm not too worried about sticking that one down just yet because we need to stick the DSP down before we make the hole. Now, I went through all of my dies, and the best hole that I found that works the best for this one is the 1 3/4 inch circle punch. So if you have a die that's about this exact size, that would work. I was using some of the dies from the Stylish Shape size, but all of the circles were too big and the bottle just rattled around too much. And so that didn't work out. So I wanted to get something that was pretty close to the exact same size, and it is this 1 3/4 inch circle punch. So that's what we're going to do. So to get this in the center, I actually have a little piece. Let me get this off my notes real quick. I actually have a little piece that I've already punched out this circle, and I want to make sure that it is exactly where I want it. So I have a little bit of adhesive on the back of that. So that's exactly where I want to punch it out. Now, you can't get to it this way. You're not, well, no, it's not going to be exactly centered. So what I found was the best way is that you need to fold up this little 1/2 inch piece and then stick the punch in this way. And make sure you line that up perfectly. You're going to get a little bit of wiggle room putting it in this way. And then just punch. You are punching through, at the very bottom, you are punching through this that 1/2 inch piece. So you're going to punch out this much. That's not going to make a difference when we glue it down and nobody's going to see it. But you do have to squeeze a little harder on your punch to get that out. Okay? So that is this piece ready to go. So we can go ahead and put that other piece of DSP on it down here. This one's going to go down here. This one is 3 1/4 by 1 1/2, I believe. Let me see, yep, 1 1/2. All right, and that one's just gonna go down here on the front. And then I have another piece that is the same size. Yeah. Okay, I have another piece that is 3 by 3 1/4. Sorry, I had to check my notes on that. And we're gonna adhere this one down to the front of our box before we stick down this piece. So adhesive on the sides of that. And this one's gonna go toward the top. All I'm looking for is an even border around the left, right, and top sides. It's not going to go all the way to the bottom. You can actually adhere this down before you assemble the box too if you want. You can open that up and lay it flat if you want. That makes it a little bit easier. But that one's going to go there. This bottom part's going to be covered up. That's why I'm not worried about making sure there's DSP down there. We're going to conserve a little bit of DSP. All right, so close that up. So this is what we have: the DSP on this piece, and 2 DSP pieces on this piece, with our 1 3/4 inch hole cut out. So we are going to adhere this all together to make it like one long piece. So I'm going to trim these little edges here just to make sure that if anything is cut slightly larger, it's all going to fit together perfectly. And I'm going to do the same to this little 1/2 inch tab here too. So I hope you guys love this little treat. Now, you guys, last week I shared with you guys that rotating card, and I'll show that again at the end. We are going to make that next week. I've been working on the measurements and perfecting the technique to make that all week. So I think we're going to make that next week. So make sure you tune in next week for week. What are we on? This is week 8, week 9. I don't even know what we're on. All right, so I put glue on that 1/2 inch tab on the hot chocolate piece, just like that. And I'm going to lay this flat, and we're just going to line this up. I'm just going to line up that that cut edge to the score line there. Give that a nice little burnish. Just make sure everything is lined up going this way. And so that now we have like this long piece like this. Okay, you guys with me? Hope you guys are with me. This treat is so much fun. I love this treat, but you guys, again, this is one that you're not going to make for a ton of people. You're not going to want to do this one for a ton of people for sure. Especially if you're adding the Baileys. That's kind of a pricier treat, even though 3 for $11 is not so bad, but still. All right, so now I just put a little bit of glue on that tab, and we're just going to glue this down. So I'm just going to kind of line that up, not right against the bottom of that DSP, but close to the edge of that DSP. I'm just going to line that up. And you can even, I mean, this should technically, you can undo this top one. This should technically go flat once you kind of get that into place. Whoops, hold on. Maybe not flat. I'm trying not to get it over that score line there. We want it to make sure that it is, I'm making this look a lot harder than it actually is, you guys. Just making sure that it's nice and lined up. And with it flat, you can really give it a good burnish like that. Okay, and this will pop up, so you have this piece like that. Okay, looks like I could have gone down a little bit more, but that's okay. We're gonna leave it the way it is. All right, now that this is all assembled, I'm gonna stick my hot chocolate inside, and then we'll close this up. And I'm gonna test to make sure that my bottle fits in there, and it does perfectly, and this is not lined up with the sides. I was maneuvering it too much, and it moved over. Okay, hang on. There we go. Now it's lined up. Okay. So our little bottle is going to fit in there perfectly. Now, so this doesn't rattle around too much, I'm going to put some dimensionals on the bottom of this to make sure that it stays put. So I'm going to grab some dimensionals. So I'm going to just put them on the edge. If you put them in the center, you're going to have to stack up like 3 or 4 of them because the center of the bottle is, curved. So I'm just going to put them on the edge. You can use black dimensionals for this too. That will be less noticeable on the side of the box. And we're just going to slide that in. Make sure this is standing up nice and straight. We'll give that a little push. And now our little bottle isn't going to rattle around. Ah, so cute, right? So cute. You can even tie some little ribbon around the bottle if you wanted to fancy it up a little bit more. Okay, for the last piece. Now you could end it here if you didn't want to add this last piece, but I like the little handle part on this, even though you can't really pick it up by the handle. I mean, you can, but it's gonna, I'm worried it will like rip in half with the weight of that bottle. but I love it because I just think it, when you have it sitting on a desk, this little top part just makes it look completed and all put together. There's a place for you to put a tag. It's so cute. Now again, if you don't want to cut the hole in it, you don't have to. But I like it with the ribbon. So that's what we're going to do. So your third piece of Early Espresso DSP for that handle is going to be 11 by 3.5. And again, we're going to grab our Simply Scored and we are going to score this at 3. And that's it. All right. Now before we give this a burnish, we're actually going to run this through our die cutting machine. And before we do that, we're going to put another piece of DSP. So this one's going to go on the top. So you have your 3-inch score line down here. This is going to be the bottom. It's all going to wrap around and sit right here. So we're going to stick our DSP on the top up here. And then we're going to die cut that circle out of it. Just a little bit of DSP on here. There we go. Perfect. All right, now I'm going to use the Stylish Shapes dies to die cut this, and this one is the 1, 2, 3, the 4th smallest or the 3rd largest, however you want to figure that out. Now, if you want a different shape or if you want a smaller circle or whatever you want, you can do that. You know, the choice is yours. If you want to leave this part off altogether, that's your call too. I'm going to use a little bit of Post-it tape just to hold this in place. And I think we're going to try to put this through our mini machine. I think it'll fit. All right, I'm going to fold that down. Let me grab my cutting plates. I think this will fit. Hopefully this will fit. Oh yeah, that'll totally fit. It's perfect fit. We're going to run this through real quick, and then I don't have to bring in my giant machine that will take up the whole camera. Okay. All right. I'm going to die cut that. We'll move this out of the way. Now, if you wanted to put a different alcohol in here too, you could absolutely do that. I just found those little mini Baileys and I thought, well, that is a fantastic idea. So, all right. So we have our piece of DSP on there. We have our piece folded. I'm going to give this a quick burnish. And then we are going to put some glue on the bottom of this piece. So on that 3-inch piece down here, we're going to put some glue. And then we're going to just line up this bottom piece right here on here. Now you could do this before you put in all of your stuff, for sure. You could do this. The weight of it though, I think helps everything adhere together. So that's nice and adhered down. I'm just going to give that a quick burnish from the sides. And then this is going to fold up just like that. And so we're going to put some adhesive all along this part right here, and we're going to just fold it up. I added this back mostly because I wanted that little area for the tag, but I also added it because I wanted to further reinforce the bottom of this. Because of the weight of the bottle, I wanted a couple of layers of cardstock down there to reinforce it. You could use some chipboard too, or even like the DSP that comes in our the cardboard that comes in the DSP packages. You could do that too to reinforce the bottom of this as well. But that second layer really helps. It really makes it a lot sturdier than just that one piece. And you'll notice that right away once you get that all adhered down. Okay, lovely. Isn't that adorable? So cute. It's such a fun gift too. Who wouldn't love to receive this? I mean, if you're, maybe if you have out-of-town guests coming in, you can leave this in their room, or if you're going somewhere, you could give this to your host. I think that'd be a cute little gift too. Oh, Erin, that's a great idea. She said apple cider and spiced rumor fireball, or a caramel flavored liqueur. Oh my gosh, that would be delicious. I'm for that idea too. So you guys use your imagination, whatever you want to do. Now again, I'm going to say it again, if you're making this for kids, what I would do is I would just fill a little cello bag with some marshmallows, tie it real pretty, and fill it with marshmallows, and they have a hot chocolate marshmallow gift. But we're making this for adults, so why not? All right, I'm going to bring this one in so we know what we're doing with our stamping. Now I have already pre-embossed all of my pieces, just to save a little time, because I did a fair amount of embossing on here, and I've already die cut all my pieces as well. So we're not going to do a whole lot of stamping. So I have 3 little presents here, and I stamped them with Blackberry Bliss, Petunia Pop and Bubble Bath. I thought that the purples went really well with these little green snowflakes. So that's why we're using some purples, and I love purples for Christmas. All right, now I heat embossed 3 snowflakes in white embossing powder on the early espresso. You can use that piece that we cut off at the very beginning to do that. So that big pop of white on that early espresso background is beautiful. So I'll set those aside, and then I heat embossed the greeting on a piece of Blackberry Bliss, and then I just cut it to the height of the words and just left it a little bit long. I mean, this is about 2 3/4 if you're measuring, but we're going to end up trimming this down, and this part's going to be hidden. So whatever the length that you want is. And then from Petunia Pop, I die cut a little banner from that Stylish Shapes dies. So let's get to assembling. I also have a piece of Bubble Bath circle that I die cut with the Stylish Shapes dies too. And this one, I believe, is it's the second largest of this one. And then I have our little penguin, and our penguin I stamped in early espresso. I think it's more richer than just our memento. So I stamped him in early espresso, and we're going to do some coloring on him. Just with our pumpkin pie Stampin' Up markers. These are our water-based markers. These are not our blends. So you can see the difference. These are our alcohol blends. They're more rectangle. The Stampin' Up markers are a water-based ink, but I love the pumpkin pie one for this because his little beak and his little feet are so tiny that the tips on the Stampin' Up markers are far, far better. Now, if you have not heard, our markers have been redesigned. They were redesigned, oh gosh, I want to say with this last catalog, but I'm not positive. It might have been the catalog before. But our tips are much better. If you've been around Stampin' Up a while and you have our old ones, these tips are far, far, far more superior, especially with that fine tip. And then you still have that brush tip on the other side. So our Stampin' Up markers are phenomenal. So they're a good addition to your supply too. Now I'm going to take Light Pool Party. This isn't really going to show up on the camera, but I just wanted to add a little bit of shading to him. So I just did a couple of swipes along his belly, just one on each side, and that's going to show up more in the pictures than it is on the video. Okay, for our little circle here, we're going to do just a little bit of stamping with some Bubble Bath. So let me open up this ink pad. Some Bubble Bath ink, and I have the little tree. Yeah, wouldn't this be a fun gift to receive? Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to stamp it again just to get some different, shades of trees. And I'm stamping them all at varying heights. So we just have a few little trees stamped on there. That's just going to give a soft little background. You could also emboss that, run it through an embossing folder. That would be fantastic too. All right, let's get this all assembled up. I'm going to use dimensionals for, I think, everything, because why not? You're not going to mail this treat, so you might as well use the dimensionals, right? All right, I'm going to put a couple dimensionals on our circle down here. And I'm going to stick our little Petunia Pop banner. Don't cover up too much of the trees. You want to be able to see those trees in the background. All right, with our little greeting here, I'm going to cut up the middle. And I'm going to cut from side to side to that middle and just make a little banner end. If you have a banner punch or a square punch that you prefer doing this, by all means, go ahead and do that. All right, this is going to go directly on. I'm going to have to start using some of my edges. So the edges are my favorite part of dimensionals. You guys use the edges? It's my favorite part. Okay. And we're going to stick this on. And I want this little, this banner piece to go off the edge of this banner piece a little bit. Just so like we're layering it up, it's overlapping a little bit. Cute. Our penguin's going to go on next. So I'm going to stick a dimensional there for him. And he's just going to cover up the side of that greeting. Just like that. I am going to put some dimensionals on the back of each of these gifts. I'm just cutting these little edge pieces. So I'm just going to put one on the back of each one. And then we'll stick these on. So peel off the backings of these. And we'll stick these on. All right, my little Bubble Bath one's going to tuck under this Petunia Pop one's going to go up there, and then the Blackberry Bliss is going to go here. Now, if you're using different colors, I mean, just you guys make this your own. You guys are super creative and smart. I know you guys can do this. This would be great in shades of blues. Again, the green in this DSP is garden green, so you could do it in shades of green. That would be really cute too. All right, this is ready to go onto our little treat. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to keep all the dimensionals on the back of the circle right here, kind of where that banner is, because it's going to hang off the top here. You don't want any adhesive up there. So I'm just going to cut some more edge pieces. So we'll just put a couple. So we'll put one like right here, and we'll put one right here. Save that piece. Okay. Let's bring in our little treat. We still have our snowflake stab, but we'll do that. Don't worry. Bring in our little treat. This is going to just go right across the bottom. I'm going to make sure that's more centered. Perfect. Right across the bottom, just like that. So cute. All right. I'm going to add a snowflake to the top up here. Just make sure you're not adding too much adhesive so it sticks behind. And then, let's see. Couple more dimensionals on the back of these snowflakes. I have one dimensional left, just like that. Peel off those. You can add more of these early espresso snowflakes if you wanted to. I thought 3 was a really good number. All right, we're gonna work on the ribbon and then we'll come back and finish it off with the little embellishments. But let me, I want this to have a little bit of time to dry. I've already done most of this ribbon, but we're going to do a little bit more of it. I want to show you what I did. So I'm taking the Very Vanilla large check ribbon. You can get this in my online store. I think this is also in the annual catalog. This is such a good ribbon, but I wanted it to coordinate with our project a little bit more. The Very Vanilla wasn't going to coordinate with our project. So I am going to turn it into Blackberry Bliss check ribbon. So I've already colored most of it. And so I just have a little piece here. I'm going to show you what I did. I took my dark Blackberry Bliss Stampin' Blend, and you're just going to go over that ribbon. And I'm going to flip it over and just make sure that you get those edges too. And then you're going to set this aside to dry, because this is going to need some drying time. If you start to play with it and tie it right now, you're going to end up with little Blackberry Bliss streaks on your hands. Ask me how I know that. So I'm going to set this aside to dry. It's an alcohol ink, so it's going to dry fairly quickly. So we're going to set that aside, and I'm going to grab my little embellishments here. We're going to use these. These are the Boozy embellishments. These are in our mini catalog, and I'm going to use these gold ones because why not? They are so pretty. So I'm going to put one up here, and I'm going to do 5 of them. This is a big treat. It's a fancy treat, so we're going to add a lot of embellishments. And so I'm going to put one kind of down here, and I'm going to put 2 of them on the tag. One up here and one over here. So lots of fun sparkle. You can use any embellishments you want. The silver ones would also be really great on this one too. But I wanted the gold. Gold's fancy. All right, let's get our ribbon. We're just going to tie our ribbon right here through this little loop here. Now, if you wanted to add a tag on it, or if you wanted to add a tag to the other side, you could do that as well. I'm just going to tie a little bow. Hopefully I can do this on camera. We'll see. This is the most stressful part of the video, the bow tying. It's not a perfect bow. I will fix it, but well, it's not so bad actually. I'm happy about it. Whoa, just had a little catastrophe over here. No worries. That's for later Ruth's problem. Okay, that is our cute little Boozy little treat. I hope you guys love this. If you enjoy this video, please share this with your crafty friends. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to give you guys a side view of that and then like a front view. So I hope you guys can see it. Let me see if I can move my camera up a little bit without getting too much of the catastrophe that's going on my desk right now. I hope you guys love this little treat box. Now, next week, we are going to make this card. It is super cute, and it has taken me a couple of weeks to perfect this card, but I am totally and completely in love with it. There's also a little gift card holder over here. You can add a gift card. So this is what we're going to make next week. So if you want to join me for next week's 12 weeks of Christmas video, make sure you do that. I'll be live again next week at 10 a.m. So cute, right? I can't wait to show you guys this card. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you guys have a great week. And yeah, if you have questions on anything, please leave them in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week. Thanks again for joining me. Bye.